Welcome to our presentation on order entry systems for annuities. My name is Aaron Rogers, and filling out the rest of the team we have Crystal, Eli, Akila, and Subhagi. So just a quick recap about what we're going to go over today. We're going to touch on the project overview a little bit, and then just shore up some terminology that we're going to be using. We're going to go over requirements determination, use case analysis, our data flow diagram, our entity relationship diagram, our design acquisition strategy, our architecture design, the user interface design, data storage design, the implementation piece and how we transition, and then we're going to wrap it up with a project timeline and our conclusion. Just a quick overview about kind of who we are as a company and what we're trying to achieve with this system. We're a finance company that offers a variety of products, one of which is the annuities that we're developing this system for. We operate in a pretty cutthroat, concentrated industry as a relatively small player, as we're a regional finance company. So the big names of the game are going to be State Farm, Allstate, other companies of that size that tend to have a lot more draw and ability to work down their margins. We did identify an area to capture some efficiencies through the implementation of an information system, and that's going to be this annuity order entry system that we've been working on. We expect this to roll out in about a year, and because this is a business process automation, the BPA, we're going to use a waterfall approach just to kind of keep our scope all the way together. Our scope right now is to create an online order entry system, which is going to allow our customers to fill out all the necessary forms for an annuity in a digital environment. And this project is important to us because if we can prove it successful on a relatively simple financial product like an annuity, we can then transfer it to and adapt it to some of our other products to allow us to take advantage of those efficiencies on the rest of our portfolio.
Let's look at some basic terminology that's important to understand as we proceed forward with this presentation. Insurance carriers, they're going to create the product and actually administer the policy. Agents are the point of sale, they're the front line. Brokers, dealers, they're kind of in the background that manage the agents. The annuity product is actually the product itself, which a customer will be purchasing. The policy is the contract that kind of sets the rules and regulations for the product. The owner is the person who actually pays for the product. The annuitant is the measure of life that is used to determine the benefits to be paid out under the contract, and the beneficiary is the person who's entitled to receive the funds. Looking at a few of the requirements for the order entry system, the agent will need to be able to log in. The agent will need to be able to enter in the necessary information. So who's the owner, who's the annuitant, who's the beneficiary, stuff like that. The system will need to be able to perform validations to make sure that the inputs are accurate. The system will enforce the validation errors to be corrected before the application can be submitted. The application is electronically sent to the owner for their electronic signature. Once all the required signatures are received, the system will then create an electronic feed of the application in a predefined format. Then the electronic feed will be sent to the carrier, and then after that, the carrier will upload the data into their policy administration system to do everything on their side.
The use case diagram clearly explains the procedure of the order entry system. As you can see, there are going to be three main actors, and they're outside of the box, and they're going to be interacting with the system. This is going to be the agent, the owner, and the insurance carrier. As described in the requirement determination phase, the agent's going to log in and enter the information of the owner or the annuitant into the system, which then the system will validate and send the information back to the owner to sign a consent form. Once the owner accepts the contract, the information is passed to the insurance carrier, who is going to save it, store it, and implement the process.
So next we're going to take a look at some data modeling. As you can see, kind of the flow here, the agent gets the client information and then takes that information, like the client name, for example, and enters it into the system. It goes into our database and pulls all the information we currently have on that customer, or requests more information if it's a new customer. Then we send the application to the client.
to get their signature if it's something that they're still considering, that annuity product. And then after we get that, we send the approved application to the insurance carrier, who then processes that from their database and finishes the approval process. This is our entity relationship diagram, which kind of gives us a high-level view of how the different entities interact with each other, and it's an important piece of understanding what exactly needs to be implemented in the system.
When looking at a design acquisition strategy, there are a few different ways to determine which direction you're going to go. The way we decided to focus on was the alternative matrix, and it helps determine the appropriate method between either in-house development, packaged software, or outsourcing by assigning different weights to a certain set of criteria. The criteria we decided to go with was process improvement, customization of platform, efficiency, flexibility, performance, and how much does the system actually cost. After looking at the different weights, how we value it, and how the different solutions ranked relative to those weights, we determined that a packaged software was going to be the best alternative for our organization.
So here's a quick synopsis of our architecture design. We felt it was important to understand the framework and how the system was going to interact with the framework so that we could more effectively develop the system. Essentially, the agents are going to be sending the information over HTTP to the order entry system. Once the order entry system gets and processes that data, it's going to gather the necessary signatures. Usually this is just an affirmation from the customer, but there are certain instances in which we will need more, which have been developed into the system. Then the order entry system will send the data to the carrier. At this point, this means that we're actually going to need to allow the carrier access to some of our data stores in order to receive all the data they need. And there could also be multiple agents working in the system at the same time.
The user interface design was relatively basic because essentially we're taking a paper form and turning it into a digital one that our customers or the corresponding agents can fill out for them. We're focusing on things like age, address, social security number, how much the customer wants to invest, and what kind of annuity they're interested in. We're also including a customer signature box at the bottom that will allow the customer to certify that they are the ones who have filled it out and the information they've provided to us is accurate. So after the form is filled out, and kind of during while it's being filled out, there's going to be some input validation. There's going to be a presence check that will make sure that everything we need is filled out. There's going to be a format check to make sure that everything that's filled out is filled out in a format in which we can process. There's going to be a range check, which is going to make sure that all the information is actually possible for us to achieve and provide to our customers, whatever they're looking for. So for the output, the owner is going to electrically sign it, and the system is going to combine all the forms together in a table that's going to be sent to the agency to process. Each day, month, and year, the agency will receive reports with the information of the annuity sold. That's going to include the number of annuities by agent, amount sold by agent, and the list of clients' names and information. The agents will have a report with the client information that can be accessed through their logon from the main menu, and the client will receive automated monthly reports showing the performance of their annuity and the changes that they made in their profile. And this kind of extra data is going to be important for us as a company to help us see opportunities to sell more of our products, and it's also going to be beneficial for the customer as well because they'll have the peace of mind of being able to watch their investments. So this is just a quick example of the form. As you can see, we have name, address, social security number, some free form fields for customers to fill in. We also have drop-down boxes for what state they live in and the percentage that they want to allot their funds to, as well as the term of the annuity that they're looking for. We're really designing the form to ask only what is necessary so we don't get caught up in a bunch of extra frivolities that waste ours and the customer time because, again, we're focusing on efficiencies. All of the information on this form is required besides the middle name and what apartment or suite you live in, because that's going to be depending on what kind of residence that you're living in. We do add a little legal disclaimer at the bottom. This is both to protect us and the customer from any sort of inconsistencies. After the form is filled out and submitted, it goes to a database to be processed by the carrier. This is essentially, as you can see below, a table that we put all the information in, and we use the Social Security number as an index. We use the Social Security number because it is going to be specific to that individual. For example, Social Security number 123456789 is going to bring up a gentleman by the name of Sal Figurelli. Sal is 43. He lives at 623 Address Lane in State Soda. Now, if you look off to the right, you can also see what kind of product he's interested in. It says the annuity type is fixed, how much he would like to invest, which is $100,000, and what percentage of the total investment he wants to put into that annuity type. So as you can see here, he wants to just buy a fixed annuity for $100,000 that lasts 1 year.
Another thing we need to look at when developing our system is how are we going to store our data? And that brings us to this high-level overview of our data storage design. We're going to be using a relational database. We're going to set up indexes for our tables. The application servers will be using a connection pool to the database. The application servers and the database servers will actually also be on the same network to help reduce any sort of network latency. The application server will commit to the database after the data is received from the user interface. Table objects will be allocated appropriate size, and the physical storage for the database will be connected with the highest I/O rate. And we're going to be backing up this entire database on a regular basis that complies with Sarbanes-Oxley.
Next, we're going to take a look at the implementation of the new system and the transition away from the old system. At the end of 3 months, we're going to understand the capabilities of the platform. We're going to customize the system to fit our current best business practices. We're going to install a platform and each franchise, and we're going to integrate the platform with the insurance carriers. In the first month, all of the users are going to watch a video kind of describing the platform, the new system, its capabilities, so they're kind of aware of what's coming down the pipe. All the users are going to be using it on a day-to-day basis. This is going to be the agents, the brokers, the dealers. They're going to participate in trainings that are going to cover kind of the basics of the platform, how to customize a platform to be user-friendly to them, get them some log-on information, and then the owner processes and responsibilities. At the end of these trainings, users will complete an integration survey to help us understand the best business practices and the needs that we're going to need to adjust to. So in the second month, the platform is going to start being installed on all the computers within the company. The daily users will participate in more training covering troubleshooting and some basic question and answers from previous things we had talked about, how to submit contracts to a carrier, and processing reports and other forms of analytics. After the training sessions, the users will be tested on their ability to use the platform, like creating annuity contracts and how to process reports. In the final month of the implementation and transition phases, we will be finishing the installation of the platform onto computers. So this is going to be for managers, non-primary users who would have already gotten it. We're going to integrate our systems with the insurance carriers so that they now have access to our data and our systems to be able to process those forms. We're going to test the platform out and troubleshoot any last-minute developmental issues or kinks. We're going to work with the website administrator to make sure that everybody has access to the platform. And then we're going to finish up with answering any remaining questions that may still be lingering out there, as well as maybe establish a FAQ page where users can go to kind of help navigate through some of their issues. So here is a quick recap about our timeline. As you can see, we started August of 2017, selecting our project, developing it, and moving on through the phases like that up until end of 2018, third, fourth quarter. We expect to go ahead and implement it and actually start supporting it with system maintenance. So, wrapping it all up, we believe that our systems plan and the new system will be successful in increasing our efficiencies in processing time of the forms, increase compliance with Sarbanes-Oxley. We're going to have a reduction in human error and lost forms. We're going to have a potential impact to the bottom line through reduction of headcount. It's going to be a little bit more user-friendly in that the customer doesn't necessarily have to come to our offices to fill out the form. They can fill it out comfortably at home. And one of the potential lucrative opportunities we have from this is when we've proven it successful, we can implement it to some of our other products. Thank you.